guys, this is Jess Dowd, and I would like to welcome you to the Girl Do It Yourself podcast. Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Girl Do It Yourself podcast. I am Jess, your host, as usual, and I'm coming to you on this episode after just getting back from the grocery store and recently having a conversation with a friend of mine who has been interested in learning about a lot of this, what I like to call modern wellness. We live in a world that is very full of so many things that are outside of our control. And we are, we're busy. We are going to the ball field and we're doing all of these things. And so modern wellness, the way I see it, is it encompasses a way to live your life in a way that is healthier, less toxic, more sustainable, a little more holistic, but still living within the modern world, right? Where your kids are still going to ask for snacks from the concession stand at the ball field. And when you go to the grocery store, they're going to look at the colorful things. And yet there are still ways to sustain a healthier and more wellness focused lifestyle, even within our crazy modern world. So in this episode, I'm going to talk about a few of the ways that I've done it and I'm still working on, don't get me wrong. So kind of how to get started in the health and wellness world with a non-toxic and sustainable spin, which is what I consider modern wellness. Okay, so I just went to the grocery store a few hours ago. I went to Publix. We do not have a whole lot of options where we live. We do not have a Whole Foods. We do not have, I believe Trader Joe's has quite a few good options. Our Publix is like less than 6 months old. It is brand new. What we do have an Aldi's, a Costco, and then there are some online options that really, really simplify how to get ways to get started. What I have done is I will order a small portion of something from Thrive Market is an option. Amazon has some good things as well. And then that lets us try these new products. And if we like them, then I will look for possibly to see if they are at Costco, which we have had some luck with. If you're watching me on video for this episode, one, I look exhausted because my toddler woke me up at a really weird time last night. And two, I had my eyes dilated today, so my pupils are still huge. And so I look a little crazy right now. But so one of the misconceptions that I often hear people talk about, or like a pushback on transitioning over into a more holistic, healthy lifestyle, is that it's too expensive, right? And sometimes it is. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. There have been times where, we were at the store or I was looking online and there was an okay option and an organic option and the pricing was just way too much of a difference. And as long as it doesn't contain a handful of like non-compromising ingredients in it, then we are still, being reasonable and not having, too broad or too big of expectations on what we're able to transition into our life. So what I like to focus on is transitioning small things that have high impact. So for us, food has been the number one, no doubt about it. And, I recently heard someone say, oh, but like, how do you afford to feed your kids organic snacks? And like the crazy thing about removing the majority of processed foods from our home and from my kids' diet is that they're not hounding for snacks all the time. And even when they are hungry, they're willing to eat cheese balls, like a mozzarella cheese, or clementines. Often they act like it's candy because they're so sweet compared to some of the other things that we have in the house. So by removing it's it's like a drug. I mean, they are literally addicting. And so by removing them, and for the most part, we still keep some things. Granola bars are ones that we have tried a whole bunch of different kinds. And I have just recently found organic cereal. So there's a couple of things that are a little bit more snacky and more processed that I have been able to find decent alternatives to that they like, but they're not obsessed with. They're not, craving these foods. And so sometimes it's tricky when we go places and they, really want all the candy and snacks and chips and all those things. But for the most part, at home, the snacking has decreased significantly, and they actually typically do a lot better job eating full meals. And I mean, I'm talking about 3 growing boys, a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 7-year-old. And they are active. We are in sports. If it's nice out, we are in the backyard. Like, we spend time moving all the time. So that has made a big difference in how many snacks we need to buy and keep in the house, which has almost made up for the difference in price. I couldn't tell you for sure the calculation, but it has been very interesting to watch this shift of their palates, basically, and what they expect in the house. And what I'd also like to mention is the 80-20 rule. Now, this is a rule that can be applied to many, many things in life. I've heard it used in business. And so it's the same concept where you don't need to focus on everything. 80% is your goal. 20% you might not reach right away or ever. For example, Coke Zero. That has been the hardest thing for me to process out. And I still have them every once in a while. But what we have done is we've stopped buying them and keeping them in the house. So I can't just walk downstairs to our drink fridge and have a Coke Zero at any point in the day anymore. If I'm going to have one, it's because we're out, we're in the car or going to a game or something like that. And we buy 1 or 2 bottles of Coke, like the 16 ounce. I enjoy it. And then I take my space from it, basically. So another concept that will tie into this when we touch on like beauty stuff is like hair dye. I'm going to continue to dye my hair. Is it the best thing for me? Probably not. Is it something that makes me feel good and I enjoy keeping my hair, looking a certain way? Yes. So keep in mind, you do not need to be perfect. Baby steps are what's going to get you there, and just keep that internal pressure, that desire to fix everything right away. Keep that at bay, because otherwise that is how you get overwhelmed. And trust me, I have tried it. I have done it. Do not follow in my footsteps. So just diving a little bit deeper into just a quick overview of options in the grocery store. At Publix, their in-house Greenwise brand is mostly organic. It is pretty well priced. I mean, I bought a quart of ice cream for $4.99. Some of their organic cereals are cheaper than like Captain Crunch and those ones. Portion sizing might be, not apples to apples, but when you're talking about things that you don't need, right, like ice cream and cereal, if you can get an option that is about the same price as anything else you'd buy, you get to enjoy a little bit of it, and then you don't have to eat, tons of it. It's that's how I see it, as a win-win. I also have mentioned before, one of my other episodes, Costco. If you can afford to shop at Costco in small bulk, it's bulk, but I mean, we go through a lot of what we purchase in a week sometimes. So Costco has some great options. They have organic options from other brands, and then their Kirkland brand, they have really, really pushed down into finding or offering a lot of organic options, and it's affordable. We've priced a lot of those things out, and Costco is almost always going to be the best bang for your buck as long as you can invest a little bit extra in purchasing, a little bit more than a box at a time. Also, if it's a snack or anything like that, please make sure you test a smaller option on your kids first so you don't end up with a Costco-sized box of Bobo's muffins that your children will not touch. That has happened a couple of times. And I've donated those snacks to my kids' schools to have in their classrooms because I'd rather that, or give it to friends or, anyone I know who might like it. So I'd rather that than it sit in our pantry until it goes bad and I throw it out. But there have been a few things that my kids have just flat out refused to eat. Not often is there something, there's only been a few times where it's been all three who have just won't touch it. But Bobo's, that's a company that has a couple different options of snacks that are made with better ingredients. We have not my kids have not liked any of them. I'm not too sure why. They're kind of dense. There's muffins and little peanut butter and jelly oatmeal pie looking things. But yeah, a couple of Costco sized boxes of those I've had to rehome. Test first before you're going to go purchase anything large at Costco. Or if you see something at Costco that you haven't tried, go somewhere else, get a smaller package, try it out, and then buy it in the bigger quantities. Aldi's, we do have an Aldi's by us. They have their local brand as well as a few others. I would say be careful a little bit with Aldi's because I have noticed that some of their stuff, it seems and looks really clean based on the packaging, but it still has a lot of the other stuff. So just read labels, do your homework, and before moving on from there, that highlights what is something called greenwashing. So greenwashing is a marketing ploy or strategy that companies use to try and trick consumers into thinking that their products are healthier and a more natural option. A couple of buzzwords to keep an eye out on are natural, pure, or eco-friendly. Those three terms are not regulated. And so companies can use them and they can use, light colored packaging and green leaves and those types of design strategies to trick you into thinking that their product is going to be healthier. And sometimes it might be, but just beware. There are companies out there just trying to trick us. Another thing I have seen is organic. And I have seen organic on a label of a product where it did not have a USDA organic little emblem or little sticker. So organic is going to, for the most part, be an option. What I really like at Publix is they have a little green organic tag underneath all of the options that are organic. So when you're looking at a wall of cheese or whatever, the little green tags are going to stand out and it makes it a lot easier to find them. So looking at a few high impact swaps outside of the pantry, fragrance heavy products. So this is fragrance, like candles, any of the plug-in stuff. Most of those are just full of junk that you're just breathing in. Cleaning products and personal products. Fragrance is going to be a red flag. If you look on the back in the ingredients and you see fragrance, it covers a whole array of products. They don't need to tell you what ones they're referring to. And a lot of them are carcinogen or something along those lines. So trying to stay away from fragrance in general across the board. Also in household cleaners are also still a lot of products with fragrance, sulfates, parabens, dyes. I just had a oh shit moment the other day. I use and have forever the Venus razors with the little strips on either side so that you don't need to worry about using shaving cream or lotion or body wash or anything. It's like just one swipe and you're good to go. I've used those forever. I love them. They're super convenient. They have red dye 3 in them. And of course, I have a Costco sized pack, I think about halfway through. So this is an example of shit. I don't know why I didn't think of it. I just never did. And the individual little like packet, like the little things where the razor heads are in, those don't have the information on it. It's on the big package that I don't really look at very often. And I don't understand why it needs to have red 3, a known cancer causing material that I have been smoothing up and down my open pore legs as I shave off my hair. So cool. So in my armpits where, we have tons of pores and it's not good. And I was pretty upset about it. So I'm going to use them up and then I will look for an alternative because I'm not going to continue to do it once I know and process it out of the house. So good example of where these things can hide and get sneaky on you. What else? A couple of resources on where to look for this stuff. I've mentioned this in one of my other episodes, but the EWG, the Environmental Working Group, has a database with EWG verified products. It's also called EWG's Skin Deep. So all of their like body products, anything that would touch your skin, you can go to the database, type in your product. I just looked up Mrs. Meyer's because that used to be considered one of the really good options. Now it's like a fair to moderate. It does not have the like certification that says it's clean. It's not super terrible, but it's not the greatest. But if you were using a different product that has a worse score, it is a good step in the right direction, right? Baby steps is what we're going for. Progress over perfection. I say that about my business all the time. I did just get my website up for the podcast, and it is not perfect. It is not a super high-tech, super professional-looking website like I'd like it to look like, but I made it in an afternoon, and it is up, and I have a long-term presence. I had one. I don't know what happened. It disappeared. Yes, the EWG database is a good place to look up some of this information so that way you can educate yourself. As I keep reminding in my other episodes, do not take my word for it. Don't take anyone's word for it. Go do the research. Go find out as much as you can. Get to the bottom, the base information as far as you can go. And if something seems off, then look into that, right? People are wrong about things. Things are mistaken. I was explaining to a friend of mine when she asked, like, how do I know what to look into or how do I know where to start? So I scan social media. I try not to be on there too much, but because it's not good for anything. But so I'll scan social media, and if something starts to pop up on my radar from multiple different sources, multiple groups of people who aren't necessarily connected to each other, and it is coming out of a couple different sources or directions, that is when it will like strongly hit my radar, and I will then start a deep dive into that topic. So whatever it might be. Recently, black plastic is one. Hey, my husband had one of those, like, it's like an X kind of. It's like a meat. It's to mush it. It's like to mush up ground beef without having to touch it with your hands. And a couple weeks ago, I saw something a couple times about black plastic and how bad it is for you. And then it comes from a lot of recycled electronics, which are covered in flame-resistant chemicals. And I just had a panic moment and I just chucked it out. I just threw it in the garbage, like gone, right? Can't be good for us. Gone. I didn't say anything. I forgot to tell my husband. And like a few days later, he's like, hey, hon, do you know where my meat chopper thing is? I don't know what it's called, and I was like, yeah, about that. I threw it out, and he doesn't get mad at me, but He's like, could you at least let me know so I could get another one? But anyway, so also I recently watched the movie Dark Waters after listening to a podcast on Alex Clark's Culture Apothecary with the lawyer who was involved in the PFOA Teflon situation. And it is super interesting, both the podcast and the movie. I totally recommend listening and watching both of those. I rented the movie for like $4 on Amazon Prime. It has Mark Ruffalo and Anne Hathaway in it. It is not a B level or, whatever movie. It was very well done, high level production, great acting, very interesting topic. And it's also terrifying once you find out the information that they're highlighting and talking about. PFOAs, forever chemicals, are also another buzzword or phrase that you may have heard that are in like all non-stick products, including cookware, stain resistant stuff. So carpets, couches, water resistant. So rain gear, tents, all of that stuff that potentially is covered in these chemicals that we can drink or absorb. And they are specifically correlated to and tied to a handful of different cancers and other health concerns. So that was a fun rabbit hole. Feel free to join me down it if you'd like. You can watch the movie, listen to the podcast. I'll link the podcast in the show notes. And I think my last thing I'm going to talk about is Thrive Market. So I have used Thrive Market a handful of times. It does have a annual subscription for, I believe, about $50. It's like an online grocery store. And they do like all their pantry items. They ship, I think, for free once you go over a certain amount. And then they have cold that you have to also hit a certain amount. But what I really love about Thrive is, one, I can look at all of the different options. I can put into the filter organic, soy-free, dairy-free, right? And dye-free. Those are the 4 main things that are on our list. My middle is currently going dairy-free. We're testing out if he is struggling with inflammation in his legs from dairy. So he is dairy-free now, soy-free. We have gotten rid of dyes a long time ago, and then organic. So I can put those filters in and it'll show me hundreds of options in all different categories. And I can research them if I want to, or I can just order them and try them. And I don't have to argue with my kids in the, grocery store aisle about not buying a $10 box of crappy granola bars that he wanted. So comes right to the house. And they also have a lot of discounts on a lot of their products. So it's a great option. I do have a discount code. If you are interested in trying Thrive, let me pull it up. I will link it in the show notes. And what it does is it gives you 40% off your first order. So you can sign up for their annual membership, and that is good for the full year. And then you'll get 40% off your first order with the link. Try it out. For me, it has been really, really nice. It's a place where we try out new things. And they not only have food, they also have beauty products. They have cleaning products. They also have vitamins and supplements. So many good options on Thrive. And what it does is it simplifies a lot of things. So you don't have to be going to 4 different stores, right? Until you kind of get your feet under you and you start to figure out what works and what doesn't and what your kids will eat and what they won't, you can just use this one resource. It really helps with cutting down on that overwhelm that just, starts in your stomach and then kind of just slowly creeps up until you're all tense in your neck and stuff. I understand. I get it. I go through it all the time, but Thrive has been wonderful and has been a great option for a place to start. So that would be one of my first recommendations, would be give Thrive a shot and see how you feel about some of the stuff that you try and kind of just keep moving forward from there. So yeah, remember, progress over perfection. We are looking for small wins. Wow, it is windy outside. And if you decide to pick one of these things that I just talked about, let me know. Tag me on social media, message me, DM me on Instagram or Facebook. I have a Facebook group for Girl Do It Yourself. So check out the Facebook group, looking to create a community of like-minded individuals who mostly will be moms, I assume, like me, looking to improve our families, home, and life one step at a time. So remember, until next time, stay creative, girl, and remember, you can do it yourself. We got this.